You've binged all of Locke and Key and you are itching for more. I know I am. With the waiting game beginning of if and when we'll be getting a second season, the only thing to do in the meantime is wildly speculate about what we could see in the show's next chapter. Thankfully, the comics can clue us into some of those possibilities. I'm Kris Carr. Here's what you can possibly expect from Season 2 of Netflix's Locke and Key. Before we dive in, I want to give a shout out to all of our amazing donors on Patreon, especially our super nerd sponsor of the day, John Carmack. Thanks to these heroes, we get to keep binging shows, reading comics, and talking to y'all about them. If you'd like to pitch in, head on over to our Patreon page and see if a donation tier works for you. You'll get shout outs and swag for being so sweet. If you'd rather just buy yourself a rad new shirt, check out our affiliate link to TeePublic. They have all the tees to meet your geeky needs. Obviously, y'all, here be spoilers. I'm talking about the finale of Locke and Key and waxing poetic about what we could see in seasons to come. If you aren't caught up yet, come back to this video later. I'll be using the comics as a sort of paint by numbers as to what could happen on the show, so be warned. This video is chock full of comic spoilers too.
It's bigger than the pictures. It's also a little more Norman Bates.
At the time of this recording, Season 2 of Locke and Key has yet to be greenlit. Honestly, this seems a little odd. The series has a critic score of 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, a rating that's higher than Witcher's 66% critic score, and that show was immediately given the go-ahead on a second season, even prior to the show's release. Then again, Witcher also did have a 92% audience score there. For me, moving forward with Locke and Key is a no-brainer. The reviews, the strength of the adaptation, and my personal enjoyment of the series lead me to believe we are definitely getting Season 2. Turns out, the creatives behind the series are on the exact same page. Showrunners Carlton Cuse and Meredith Averill have stated that they're already writing the series' sophomore season. Said Averill, quote, "We are currently writing it now. I can tell you we are 7 episodes in. Season 1 was 10 episodes long, so being past the midway point, assuming Season 2 is the same length, is great to hear. It makes sense. Season 1 ended on a cliffhanger, introduced a new key, and made some changes that should give us some big payoffs as the story continues." Said Cuse, quote, "There's a lot of story. Season 2 is going to be great, and we hope that Netflix will officially order the production of Season 2. And I think by the end of Season 2, we'll have a better idea of how much story we have left and how much we want to do. I think there's a lot of story left." With Netflix's history of ending shows after their 3rd season, I definitely think it's wise to map out where a series is going, and where a series can potentially end. So, let's speculate about where Locke and Key could venture to, given more stream time.
Okay, I hope we never have to do that again.
I don't think that's actually an option. Is it weird that I kind of had fun?
No weirder than what we just saw.
Season 1 mostly blended storylines and plot points from Welcome to Lovecraft, Head Games, Crown of Shadows, Keys to the Kingdom, leaving us some really juicy bits to cover from Clockworks, Omega, and Alpha. One of the biggest shockers in those comics? Scott with 1T and Jackie Veda getting possessed and ultimately losing their lives. Oh, and also, they're an item, which may be just as shocking to some of you. Since the show has taken a more YA approach, I'm wondering if we'll have permadeaths when it comes to the teens, or if the group will be able to save their souls. Obviously, something we can look forward to is the revelation that Dodge is still around in Matheson, and that it was in fact Ellie Whedon who was thrown into the blue abyss behind the Omega door. This fate for Ellie differs greatly from the comics, and was a change I absolutely loved. Instead of being stabbed by Lucas, aka Dodge, and having her mouth ripped off, she's morphed into female Dodge using the identity key and used to trick the teens into tossing this Dodge away. Will the keepers of the keys be able to rescue Ellie, or did they accidentally doom Rufus's mom to an eternity behind the black door?
Does this feel right to you?
If you have any better ideas, I'm all ears.
Best available idea doesn't make something a good idea.
And worse, did they doom Rufus to an eternity in Nebraska? That's a cheap joke at my husband. He's a Nebraskan. I'm sorry. Go Huskers. We also have another sort of bait and switch in the series. In the comics, Dodge decides to take on the alias and appearance of a teenager named Zach Wells, posing as Ellie's nephew. Zach befriends the Locke family to gain access to more keys, and even begins a romantic relationship with Kinsey Locke. In the show, Dodge does pretend to be a relative of Ellie's while looking like her old high school beau, Luke. However, it isn't Luke who pursues Kinsey. It's her classmate and fellow Savini, Gabe. Gabe is a new character to the series, and definitely threw me off. I knew something was fishy after the cafeteria scene, but hey, maybe he's just a crappy high schooler, you know? Maybe he always agrees with Kinsey because of his huge crush. Nope, it's just Dodge taking on another appearance thanks to the identity key. I'm interested to see how this is going to play out. When will the gang know Gabe can't be trusted? Will it play out like the comics, with him refusing to allow Kinsey to use the head key on him? Will Tyler be the first to acknowledge something's amiss? Will Kinsey try to kill Gabe like she did Zach? And she's already stabbed and buried her own fear. I'm sure she'd be cool wielding a blade against a demon, even if they did date. There's a lot they can explore with this new take on Dodge being among them. Also, in the comics, Zach throws Bodhi through the ghost door, then inhabits Bodhi's body. Is this something we'll see Gabe, aka Dodge, do? If so, this is a bananas plot, y'all. Bodhi is somehow able to communicate in his ghost form with his fellow soldier and bud Rufus, as well as his mother when she falls off the wagon again thanks to Dodge. This ultimately leads to the gang having the information they need to defeat Dodge. Bodhi's body, though, ends up being cremated. His brother Tyler follows a sparrow that flies to the ghost door. The sparrow leaves its body behind. Bodhi's ghost enters the dead sparrow's body, and Tyler uses the animal key to return Bodhi to human form. Are we gonna get that in the series? Because that is wild! Man, I hope so. In a story of demons, you may as well push the boundaries. There's another demon lurking among the gang at the end of the season as well. Eden Hawkins is possessed after being hit by one of those blue spirit bullets from beyond the Omega Door. As if Eden wasn't evil enough already.
Well, then it's me or the blood.
Blood. I vote blood.
I mean, obviously.
She did turn a new leaf by helping the Locks, so human Eden paved the way for demon Eden to be ingratiated into the group. Still, aside from Eden's ravenous hunger, I think it's gonna be way more difficult to spot Eden's possession than suss out Gabe as Dodge. Again, the show has room to do some really cool things here with Eden and Gabe. Dodge having a partner on the same power plane is incredibly intriguing. Sure, Sam Lesser was a very scary and troubled kid who was an effective threat against the Locke family. But two demons going toe-to-toe with them is a whole other story. Eden is another reimagined character, seeming to share traits with the comics' Jordan Gates, a, quote, rich bitch who likes to start fires, and served as Tyler's romantic interest instead of Jackie. If we're to follow Jordan's fate, this could provide Eden with a redemption arc. Jordan sacrifices herself to save Kinsey, and before she does so, notes that she wished they had been friends because Kinsey would have been good for her. Given the animosity between Eden and Kinsey in the show, this could be a great conclusion for Matheson's mean girl to come to.
Fall on your face.
I think we can expect to continue Kinsey dealing with her lack of fear and inhibition. In the comics, she isn't even able to cry at funerals. We've seen the screen Kinsey capable of showing emotion, so I don't believe we'll go that route, but surely, we'll continue to see how the impulses of a teenager sans any fear can be a recipe for disaster. Then there's the adults in the series. Will Nina and Duncan ever be able to fully acknowledge the magic or regain any of their memories? It appears that grown-ups are able to remember magic when they're off their guard, like when Nina's drunk. In the comics, Duncan is constantly having memories removed as he witnesses attacks. At one point, Dodge even runs over his boyfriend Brian, putting him in a coma. Can Duncan catch a break this time around? We know that Rendell and his friends were somehow able to do something to make them remember the magic, and it has to do with those keyhole-shaped scars we saw on him and Ellie. My guess is we'll be introduced to some sort of key that can make them remember. Or maybe it's something like a burn from the matchstick key keeps them aware of the existence of the keys. Once the method Rendell used is discovered, I assume the show will apply it to at least Duncan, if not both he and Nina. Ooh, and Nina will surely get more screen time with her love interest, Detective Daniel Matuku. Really hoping Daniel doesn't meet the same fate he does in the comics. He seems really good for Nina, even if he's just a friend. Naturally, we'll be introduced to more keys. Meredith Averill has said that the writers are having so much fun introducing new keys. Keys from the comic and brand new keys. I expect, as I mentioned, the animal key to make an appearance. Probably the Hercules key, gifting strength, and the angel key, allowing the user to wear wings and fly. We shouldn't count out original keys either. After all, the mirror key was a brand new concept and worked brilliantly in the show. I'm sure the writers have cooked up some more for our gang to use. Plus, there's the possibility of Tyler creating new keys. If the keepers find, say, the time shift key, this could give them insight on how the Locke family made the keys in the first place, wielding whispering iron, hence why the keys call out. Tyler making keys is a game changer in the comics, and in the series, I'm sure they'll explore the possibilities and ramifications of his smelting to its full extent. Of course, this is just me speculating based on some content from the comics. Where do you see Locke and Key going in Season 2? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks again to everyone on Patreon, to TeePublic, and all of you Locke and Key fans who found us. For more videos, click to the left. Thanks for watching. See you, Space Cowboy.